Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the last PSGL race of the season. And today, we are racing around Bahrain International Circuit. It is the most difficult track on the calendar. And today, I'm going to attempt a last to first challenge against the PSGL grid. Out on track, I'm on the wets. Wait a minute. Wet tires? That's correct. We're not going to be doing qualifying today because the top 3 drivers in the Drivers' Championship had a gentleman's agreement. We'll all go out on wet tires, and those laps are going to determine the starting positions of the bottom 3 going into the race. However, hold that thought because the lights are out and we have gone racing. Getting an okay start, but most people opted to go for the hards, and going into turn 1, we're not going to try anything because the race is still very long. There's so many laps to go, and the last thing I want right now is to get taken out just like that. And I have to protect my front wing at all costs. That's already 3 positions gained, but however, the McLaren comes back and he goes way too deep, narrowly avoiding collision. You overcooked your corner a little bit there, buddy. Going through the fast chicane, we're already up to P10. This is fantastic news. And again, I'm going to choose my moment, go for clean passes, and try to make the most of the chaos during the opening lap. Let other people fight and go for openings as they appear. And speaking of which, out of turn 11, the 2 in front of me tangle and they go off track. And this is how fast your race can really go to shit in just a couple of corners. And up ahead, Mike, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, is about a second up the road. And this is really good. We're making fantastic progress. We've already made up 4 or 5 positions just on the opening lap alone. And those who started on the softs are already struggling quite a bit. I reckon they've already hit the 10% mark on the tire wear. And one of the soft runners, the Aston Martin, is already struggling. And we are going to not wait any longer and already go for a move. Can we hear before the main straight? Actually, we can't. He has way too much top speed. I have no idea what kind of wings he's running, but he doesn't have a lot of downforce on that Aston Martin. And I can tell you, that's one of the reasons why he's struggling. And his top speed on the main straight just goes to show my point. Top speed is nice, but you cannot expect to survive long. Out of turn 1, I'm gonna go for the switchback, set up the exit, and turn on the battery on the exit. He does not expect it, or at least he cannot put the power down. And I'm gonna move up to P6. And that's just after 2 laps of racing. This is great news. And on the same lap, the virtual safety car comes out because one of the McLarens has crashed. And this allows me to refill my battery to get back on the attack right as the virtual safety car comes in and DRS gets activated again. But this does mean everybody also gets to refill their battery. And on lap 5, I've stayed behind the 2 hard runners in front of me for 2 laps now. And holy Jesus, what the hell was that? I get brake checked on the straight. That was a scary moment. And I thought, you know what? Thanks for the free overtakes, but now it falls upon me to drag the train back up to P1, 2, and 3. And honestly, I was making pretty good progress. Into the 3rd DRS zone of the track, I've already managed to gain up to 3/10 from the driver in front, who is also on the hards. So it is crucial that we make up time and we catch up to him and get back in his DRS, because he is going to be a threat in the 2nd stint. And while P3 is busy carving through the traffic because the soft tires will be screaming by now, this allows me to catch up to them really fast. In just the span of half a lap, we've already made up over half a second. And by lap 7, we were back into the DRS of the top 3. And I'm gonna use this moment to recollect a little bit, recharge my battery before I go back on the charge, because it won't take long before the softs to die. And when they die, I need to make sure that I can close the gap to the hard runner in front so that I can stay inside his DRS. Because in F124, in case you didn't know, DRS is so powerful that you need to stay within it if you wish to have a chance for the race win. But I didn't have to wait for long because the hard runner has already made his way past the last of the soft runners, and this is my cue to go back on the attack because the train is going to become considerably faster now, and I need to stay as close as I can be for when the soft runners inevitably come in for fresh hards. And let me tell you, those people on the softs have already lost the chance for the race win because the hards are just going to be so much slower during the 2nd stint. But hold your breath because I'm going for a move on the Ferrari on the softs and he's struggling so much. on the traction, and he's fighting hard, which I don't understand because this is making both of us lose so much time to the top two, and it is not helping our race at all. And I was hoping that Mike in the Williams would overtake me into turn 1. He's one of the other drivers attempting the last to first challenge.
Pass me, bro.
And I was hoping that we could exchange DRS here, but as time would come to reveal, we would both be struggling on pace. He's not catching to P1 whenever he was leading, but also I was making small mistakes as well. So we are not gaining grounds, and we're actually losing time to P1 whenever we would go for the overtake on the straights. This is bad news. The last thing we want right now is for P1 to have a big enough of a gap so that when he comes in, he is safe from any undercut attempts. And only a few laps later, the gap has already widened up to 4 seconds. Am I gonna have to settle for P2? We're gonna keep pushing because behind the Aston, if you remember, Yonut, he's been really rapid in most of the races this season, and I was hoping that his undercut attempt would allow us to get back in the fight, because that's going to trigger Mike and the leader to box for fresh softs. This means on the same lap, we're gonna go in for fresh softs. And let me tell you, the fresh softs are going to be absolutely rapid on the final closing laps. It is now or never. We need to lock in if we want a chance to win this. I'm looking at the mini-map. P1 has already driven past the pit lane, and he is well off into the distance, but however, he is on the mediums. And this means we have a chance. I have a little bit of a moment coming out of the pits, but it doesn't matter. The fresh softs have so much grip in them, so much life in them right now, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a few corners. I'm going to close up to P4, who is on old hards, and pay attention to the delta. 7 tenths going through this right-hander, and out of the braking zone, back on the power, we are within 4 tenths to the kick Sauber. 1.8 seconds to P2 and P3. It's now or never. I cannot afford to stay behind him, and I'm gonna use him as a slingshot to get back within the DRS range of P2 and P3. Using whatever's left of my overtake, DRS flaps wide open down the straight, moving over to the right to avoid the bumps on the main straight, and moving back over to the racing line, braking exactly at 100-meter board, throw the car into the corner. Holy moly. The gap is now down to 1.1 seconds, and let me tell you, this car was a joy to drive. The setup felt great, grip felt optimal, and I was just one with the car. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes when you're just in the zone, you're in the flow, everything just feels right. And only a sector and a half later, I'm already back within their DRS. And this is excellent news, and I'm gonna use the few DRS zones I have to my disposition to recharge my battery, but also to snatch away 1 extra point for the fastest lap. Crossing the start-finish line, purple sector 1, purple sector 2, purple sector 3. It is going to be a 128.6, a fastest lap, blazing fast lap, let me tell you. Staying behind has allowed me to save up crucial battery, and the Williams car decides to go for a move now, a half-committed move, and it cost them more time than anything, which is very poor racecraft in my opinion. This allows me to use my full battery, DRS flaps open once again, and go for the attack down the inside. He leaves the door open, and with the tire advantage that I have, I move up to P3. What a few explosive laps that has been. And let me tell you, I'm just getting started. Onto the DRS straight in the middle sector. I'm in the Aston's DRS. But wait a minute, what's that? It's the universal message for sim racers to communicate to one another, which means, hey, let's work together. Let's go get this guy. So off we went, exchanging DRS on the main straight, and we both understand each other's roles perfectly. While I'm in the lead, I'm going to expand my battery as much as I can to push as hard as I can to close the gap to P1. And he's going to use the DRS and stay behind and recharge so he can do the same on the following lap. And I'm going to put the timing table at the top of the screen so you can see how fast I'm closing compared to P1, who is on the mediums. You'll see in a couple of corners how fast I'm gonna close up to him, how fast the C3 softs is to the C2 mediums. And once again, I do a little wiggle, and the Aston does the same, so we can let each other know, hey, let's keep working together, man. This is working. And once again, on the following lap,
Being inside the 88 driver's DRS allows me to recharge a crucial battery. And again, we can get back on the power so much sooner, early, and so much harder. The gap has dwindled down to 1.6 seconds. And once again, I'm gonna use my overtake, my battery, to move up to P2. The gap is now 1.2 seconds going into the heavy braking zone, into turn 1. Again, we can brake a lot harder. It is already down to 1 second. We barely miss out on DRS, but let me tell you, he's not gonna stay out of our grasps for long. And I'm pushing so hard right now, almost losing the rear into the heavy braking, but it is all well and dandy because my job is almost complete. I have almost made the last to first a reality. However, the question to ask myself right now is whether my softs will hold until the last lap. And being inside P1's DRS allows me some crucial breathing room. It's going to allow me to recharge a bit of my battery because as of right now, the race can be won by any of the soft runner behind. Coming out of the final corner, a second to last time today, we're going to use all of our battery to get past the Alpine. And I can tell you, he's doing the same, but it's not gonna be enough. And we're gonna move well past him into turn 1, breaking that 100-meter board, throwing the car in, and the Aston goes for a huge lunge. What a brutal send that was. The Alpine leaves some room on the inside, and this allows me some crucial breathing room. It allows me to get away from the rest of the pack. There's still one more DRS zone to go. Am I going to be able to hold my lead on the final lap, the most crucial lap of the race, into turn 10, arguably one of the hardest corners on the F1 calendar? The gap is 6/10 to P2, and remember, he boxed 2 laps earlier than I, and I have such a huge tire advantage to him right now. Only a couple of corners to go. I need to negotiate these to perfection. No track limit warnings, no spins, just bring it home, baby. Coming out of sector 2 one last time today, onto the back straight. It is going to be 5/10, and he is within my slipstream right now. He's closing. However, it is not going to be enough. Coming out of the final corner one last time, we are going to take the victory on track and the overall victory in the Drivers' Championship.
What a fantastic way to cap off my second season in PSGL. However, this does mean that PSGL League Racing videos will be shelved for a couple of weeks, while Season 39 kicks off at the end of February. In the meantime, I will also be streaming my adventures in the Creator Series live every Saturday on my Twitch channel. The link will be in the description below. This is Formula Kai, PSGL F7 champion, signing off for now, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.